fibers, which are now making a cotton fabric.
Right. Interesting.
Uh, America has done a fantastic job with their American farmers with their Supima cotton. Supima cotton, Pima was really popular in Peru. They took seeds and through some genetic engineering, Texas, Georgia, um, other areas in the South do a good job at growing Supima cotton. And that is by far the highest quality cotton that is used in a lot of woven textiles. But we haven't used Supima cotton for thread because we know that there's a lot of proof in Egyptian grown cotton just being the highest quality.
It's really interesting.
But there's a cost. Of course there's a cost associated with using the highest quality product. It's also grown in Egypt, which is a little bit more than a stone's throw away from St. George, Utah.
Yeah. So then so you've got the cotton. You purchased the cotton.
Cotton is purchased and then it's processed in Japan. So it's twisted, it's spun, it's mercerized, it's gassed, it's dyed, and wound, all in Japan.
And then what happens to it?
And then it's brought over to our distribution center here in St. George, and we distribute King Tut Masterpiece wide.
That's really cool. What does the distribution center look like at your, can you take us through what the distribution center looks like in St. George, sorry. St. George.
Great. Yeah, it's a little bit different than St. Cloud. Yeah. So I've got a picture of it on our website as well. So if you go back to our homepage and you scroll down, we have About Us.
Yeah.
If you click About Us, you can see the exterior of our facility.
Okay, About Us. I'm going. Okay. Oh, look at that. It's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's very pretty.
Yeah, we've got a beautiful area. We're nestled in the Red Rocks of southern Utah.
Oh, it's really pretty.
We colloquially we call it a warehouse, but it's not really a warehouse. It's carpeted, it has air conditioning, and it's really well lit. So we tell people, oh yeah, it's in the warehouse, and then we have a lot of visitors who come in and they say, oh, this isn't a warehouse.
It's not a warehouse.
we've got carpet and air conditioning.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, it gets really hot in St. George. It's very similar to Las Vegas. So your summers can be 112, 113, really dry heat. Wow. So not having air conditioning in St. George you're going to have a rough time.
It's really pretty.
So we love it. We love it here. So as you can see our building, we've got about 25,000 square feet. We've got a row of offices that face the street. You can see the windows that we have. And then on the inside, we have a lot of shelving, and we've laid everything out in a grid manner. So during order fulfillment, it's all based off of a grid system. So we can fulfill small and large orders fairly quickly.
Really interesting. So how much of your business is wholesale and how much of it is direct sales?
Let's not keep this one on the record.
Okay, hold on. Let's just pause for 1 second so it's easier to edit. All right, so we're back. From time to time, there might be a little interruption like this in the podcast. All right, let's go back on the record so we can, because I love all the things you're talking about. All right, so we were talking about, I'm just going to repeat a little bit about what we were saying. We were talking about sort of branding and why brand matters, and you were saying that why brand matters is because it is exactly how branding works, which is, oh, I know what that is. So the thread is great. My projects are great. I trust that company. I'm going to buy again from that company. That's the essence of branding. And you're saying off the record we were talking about branding, and so I just want to get it back on the record that branding is important because that's part of how you build a business and people trust you, and it's the trust between your consumers and your company that sort of makes the company what it is. Would you agree with that sort of summary?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a good comparison is when it comes to music. if you have an artist that you really like, when they come out with a new CD, you'll just buy the CD because you know the artist is good, and you like the music, you like how you feel when you listen to the music, and like that's the ultimate branding experience when a music artist can sell millions of records because like they become known for doing good things or producing good music.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what other sort of ways, we talked about branding, do you have other ways that you protect what you're doing, or is branding sort of the main space that you look at for intellectual property? Like,
So I'd say branding is by far the biggest. From an IP protection perspective, in the industries that we're in, thankfully, we don't have a whole lot of heartburn when it comes to like large scale problems when it comes to IP. When we do have problems, when we have people who are using trademarks or misrepresentation, we approach that on a personal one-on-one basis, and we try to sort through it without legal getting involved.
Yeah.
Thankfully, as we said multiple times during this interview, is like the industry is it's a very friendly industry, and we've got great relationships with our competitors. There's some competitors who I like more than others. Of course, that's what competition is. But we all get along. Like this, it's friendly.
That's really nice.
And I don't think you get that in a whole lot of other industries.
Yeah. And do you see them all the time because you're on the road a lot?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really interesting. All right. So, other things that you want me to know about, or want people in general to know about, in terms of Superior Threads or threads in general?
Like most things, you get what you pay for. Quality is such an important component of having a good sewing or stitching or quilting experience. We've really focused on what makes Superior Threads different is not only quality of our products, but the quality of our customer service, the attention that we try and most of the time succeed at really helping people through questions or troubleshooting, just letting them know that like we care, because it's an industry that everyone who works here we love. It's a great, like I'm 32. I feel like I'm relatively young, but I think my little kids are causing me to prematurely bald and go gray. And it's funny because I'm part of a few community organizations in St. George, and a lot of people say like, wait a second, you sell thread? Like I don't understand what your business is. And so the way I explain it is I say, okay, think if you have 10,000 grandmas who love to sew and quilt, and most of what they do is given away to charity because they love it so much, and then this is your customer base. And they say, wow, sounds like a pretty good industry. Sounds like you don't have to deal with like the retail or the grumpy people or people your own age. I'm like, yeah, this is why I love the industry, because people are happy.
That's really interesting. All right, I'm going to ask you a couple of specific. I'm on your Try Me section of your website.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's cool. I think every company should have a Try Me section because that's super great. Tell me about the Nightlight Extra Glow spools.
Nightlight Extra Glow. It is our glow-in-the-dark polyester thread, hands down the most popular thread in the months of September because everyone gets ready for Halloween. It's fantastic for embroidery. We see a lot of we see a lot of pillowcases that are made where grandmothers are making pillowcases for grandchildren, and they embroider their name like on the edge of the pillowcase. We also see quilts really themed around Halloween that are quilted heavily with the glow in the dark thread.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really cool. It's like, who doesn't smile when you see something glow in the dark, and then you're able to incorporate that into a sewn or a stitched project? It becomes something pretty special.
It reminds me of what you started with the metallic threads. That it's imagine something that people imagine. There's stuff out there that isn't great, that's glow in the dark, but that they would trust your company's record.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Okay, and then tell me about pre-filled bobbins. Why pre-filled bobbins, and what do you need to know about it? And then I have a bunch of questions. I'm not totally convinced yet. Like, why pre-filled bobbins? Why go that way?
Excellent. Okay, so we like to call them pre-wound bobbins. Okay. The reason why we love pre-wound bobbins is because the convenience.
Yeah.
When you are what we'll call a dedicated quilter, mm-hmm. you're going to spend hours a week honing your craft. When you wind a bobbin yourself mm-hmm. on your home machine, you can fit maybe 30 yards, mm-hmm. sometimes less. And home machines vary a lot, because if you have a top of the line machine, your bobbin winder will have a separate motor on your home machine. Right. But if you don't have a top of the line machine, typically your bobbin winder is sharing the same drive system that drives your needle, mm-hmm. your needle bar. Mm-hmm. So depending on what type of machine you have, that's how much power, how tight your wind will get, how even your wind will get when you're winding your home machine. So the two biggest complaints when it comes to winding your own bobbins, there are three complaints. The first one is it interrupts what you are doing.
That is so true. It usually is the point I walk away when the bob is out. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go do something else.
You finally hit your groove. Like, you finally hit your groove, and then guess what? Your bobbin runs out. And you're like, wait.
It's so annoying.
I have to stop what I'm doing, and now I have to wind it? So, convenience, number one. When you buy a pre-wound bobbin, your pre-wound bobbin is going to have twice or three times as much thread on it. And that's because the machinery we use, much bigger motors, much bigger drive heads, we're able to get a tighter tension, and we're able to get a more even wind. So instead of having 30 yards, now you get 118 yards. That's that means you can sew for 3 times as long, or quilt for 3 times as long without the interruption. So convenience, hands down, the biggest difference. Number 2 would be the thread quality. Typically, when you're winding your own, and this is a very general statement, but when you're winding your own bobbins, like, you're not care too much of what thread you're putting in the bobbin. Yeah. So you're just taking something from your stash that you don't want to use on top, because you want to save your good threads to show on top. Mm-hmm. And you're going to use a linty thread. You might use a thicker thread than what you should, and that can affect your stitch tension if you have a really thick thread on bottom and a thinner thread on top. You can also get a lot more lint building up in the bobbin case. Mm-hmm. So thread quality, of course, it matters. And then I'd say the third reason comes down to the quality of the wind. I've made a few quilts myself, mm-hmm. All using superior threads, mm-hmm. wouldn't you know? And when we started getting pre-wound bobbins, I felt that I really wanted to own the reason why pre-wound bobbins are important. Mm-hmm. So I decided that I'd make a quilt. Not that this matters, but I find a lot of humor. It was a mustache quilt that I thought was pretty fun for Movember, mm-hmm. and wound my own bobbins. And what I found was, using a variety of different machines, like the quality of the wind. Mm-hmm. So on like my $99 sewing machine that I got, my budget machine, like my bobbin would be spongy, mm-hmm. and that would affect my tension when I would use like Masterpiece on the top. Mm-hmm. And then on my $5,000 awesome sewing machine, mm-hmm. My wind wasn't always uniform. I would get kind of like a slant, like it wouldn't be an even parallel wine.